Hey everybody, it's Record Time with Chris, episode 41. Now, you know, a lot of guys will carry a briefcase to work every day, and this is my briefcase. As you can tell, I'm sure you all know it's a record box, but sometimes I think it's funny to be walking around carrying that. But I bring the stuff that I need for work, to work in it. And let me just tell you what that stuff is. It's the, well here, Record Store Day stuff. That's what it is. I got some of this year's Record Store Day Black Friday stuff to show you. Now, I'm going to start with Czarface, and as you can see, it's a comic book. Comes in a comic book bag with the sticker on it. Now, in case you didn't know, Czarface is 7L and Esoteric plus Inspector Deck. And they've had this Czarface character in a comic book before. This one was drawn by Mike Del Mundo, who's done stuff for a few different Marvel titles. He's the real deal. And, you know, it's a nice big comic book. And you know who that is? That's a character named Ghostface. And yeah, it is. It's Ghostface Killer. And the point there is to remind us that there's going to be a Czarface album with him coming later. Czarface meets Ghostface. This comes with a 45 with 4 tracks on it that go along with this. It's kind of like you know, 70s cop music type of style, but you know, updated because they're obviously using, like, you know, samplers and stuff. But it's got that authentic feel, modernized, so it's a lot of fun. And there's dogs in it. Oh yeah, right. The bad guy is called the Rot Styler, and he's kind of made these dogs. He's made dogs mean, and we'll see. I think his plot is to have these mean dogs take over. But anyway, I won't tell you too much more about it. All right. The Lebrón Brothers Orchestra. The album's titled Psychedelic Goes Latin, and it's nice because this comes right off, so the Record Store Day logo doesn't interfere with the original cover, and you've got the original back cover as well, with the only change, I guess, would be the legal stuff here at the bottom. And on the back of this, you get this is a contemporary essay explaining more about it, but basically they're Latin jazz guys from Puerto Rico who moved to the U.S. in the late 60s. Did a whole, you know, number of things, but the number of albums. But the point here is obviously they were heading in like a psychedelic direction. So it's more of a Latin jazz kind of thing. Really, that's the core of it. But the psychedelia kind of creeps in some interesting ways. Like the first or second song, the lyrics are about going to see, I think, a far out movie or a funky movie. Something like that, but it's like you can kind of hear like the band War. They probably had this record and said, "Oh yeah, we could do something like that with our band." And oh, also let me show you the nice Get On Down is the label that did this, and one of the other things that I'm going to show you in a bit, maybe two. And you know, they like license stuff and they do a nice job. So I recommend that when somebody does it right, you know, consider buying it. You know, move it a little higher on your want list, because we need more people to, you know, we need labels to know that we'll pay for that stuff if they do a nice job on it. Here is another Get On Down release. We got 93 album, Too Short. It was, you know, only on CD and cassette before, so it requires 2 records. And you know, get stuff on the back, and it is you know, that early 90s, almost late 80s hip-hop sound, except this is when the like the sort of sexual swearing stuff really creeps in and is strong. So it's well, I didn't listen to that as much as the other ones because I have people at home who would not appreciate that. Well, my kids would probably be fine with it, but anyway, moving on. So there's this jazz producer named David Axelrod, and what's really interesting is that Get On Down and another label I really respect called Now Again are both releasing 2 different albums of his, and I don't know if they know each other. They use the same distributor, but it's a cool coincidence. And the neat thing is the albums are different enough that you know, you could consider one or both. I'm going to start with this one here. It's called Earth Rot. I'm going to get you the whole cover. As you can see, it's sort of the picture goes like this. And this album is really interesting. First, I should mention that it's all analog. They went straight from tape to the acetates at the Ron McMaster did it, and if you forget, it's on the sticker anyway. But the interesting thing about this album is, so it's got like almost like a little bit of a Jesus Christ Superstar-y type of feel to it, sort of, except like with like loads of tape echo on the lyrics, and it's like a concept album about basically how they were screwing up the environment in LA in 1970. Let's see here, a musical comment on the state of the environment. And this was, you know, like, I think the album was actually originally released to coincide with the first Earth Day or something like that. So that's interesting. And you get this enormous booklet. It's 27 pages, so 28-page booklet with, you know, it's just what you expect from a good booklet. Loads of pictures, a very long you know, series. There's a long interview with David Axelrod himself, and what I think is really interesting is so Egon, the owner of the label, like he just, let me read this to you. Writing about the great music producer, composer, and arranger David Axelrod without first acknowledging the love and respect I had for the man seems silly. And see, that's the thing about everything on this label, is you can tell that he really, you know, I think you want somebody who owns a label and is producing albums to really love the music on them. And maybe that's why their stuff comes out so good. Oh, and you know what? There's something kind of neat on there that I wanted to show you. If you look closely on here, look right there. There's the, see that? That's the Capitol logo. Now, in fact, did I show you the records? Oh, they're just black. Anyway, okay, Pride is another one of Axelrod's albums, and like that last one, he did it with his son. As you can see, it was a Warner Brothers album. They've recreated all the Warner Brothers stuff, except they've added the Get On Down logo. And this album, Pride, which is self-titled, so it's going to be under P, not under A with that other one. This is a bit more psychedelic folky, kind of like, you know, sometimes there's like a Tim Buckley kind of vibe to it, and I think that's just because the singer they hired sort of sounds like him. Carol Kay, the famous bass player, she's on a lot of Axelrod stuff. Not on Earth Rot, but she is on this. So the singer sometimes sounds like Tim Buckley, and the vibe is sort of like that, or people have compared it to Love. The thing that those two albums have in common, though, is like really good bass, really good bottom end, like you know, the band's second album, the self-titled one, how that just, but this is even stronger. It's just really nicely supported. The drums sound good, the bass sounds good, and there's also this, like, if you know, I guess it's like he knows way more, or knew way more about music than, say, like Tim Buckley probably did. So there's a lot of just really clever arrangement stuff, or clever, well, you know, maybe you better just hear it for yourself. But I would keep an ear out for those, keep an eye out for those. There'll be more Record Time with Chris videos between now and Black Friday, and you know, until I see you next, I hope you are listening to something awesome.